Eldoria, at twilight. The city where magic falls like rain, and love is the most dangerous constellation of all. 4 women gather in the Moon and Ember tavern, unaware that tonight, a pact written in starlight will demand its price.
His lips hovered near my knuckles, not kissing, breathing, as if he needed permission to exist in the same atmosphere as me.
Serena Vayne, an enchantress who writes forbidden love tales she's too afraid to live, felt the stranger before she saw him.
I should have pulled my hand away. Every story I've ever written warned me. I didn't.
The tavern door opened. The candle flames stretched upward, reaching for something unseen. The fire seemed to kneel.
That's the face. The I'm about to make a terrible life choice face.
Mira, the sharpest legal mind in Eldoria, set down her scroll with a theatrical groan.
Serena, darling, whatever you're thinking, stop. I've already drafted 3 heartbreak contracts this month. My quill is filing for emotional damages.
I wasn't thinking anything.
That's exactly what terrifies me.
His presence tastes like starlight. Cold, ancient, dirty, like something that has been falling for centuries.
Kalla, an alchemist who distills desire into potions, leaned forward with professional fascination.
No guild signature I can read. He's either nothing, or something that watched the first star fall.
Or he's a shadow, the kind that doesn't know it's still burning. Biana Storm, a warrior-mage who believes her own power is a curse, kept her hand on her sword. I've seen men like him. They walk into runes like they own the silence. They never leave footprints.
But he wasn't leaving. He was walking toward our table. Toward me.
The stranger stopped before Serena. His eyes were the color of dying stars. Silver, ancient, hungry.
You write about love you've never touched.
My voice caught. That's not what I expected. Most men ask my name. I write stories. Yes.
Dangerous ones. I've felt every word burn in my chest.
Excuse me, who exactly are you? And how did you get past the tavern's ward?
The wards were made from fallen light. So was I.
That's not ominous at all.
Answer the question. The stranger reached into his cloak and placed a small crystal shard on the table. It was filled with captured starlight, pulsing, falling, hungry.
My name is Orion. I am the last keeper of the Starlight Pact.
The Starlight Pact was broken 1,000 years ago. Every keeper who swore it fell from the sky.
Almost every keeper.
Orion's gaze never left Serena's face. The crystal shard pulsed with a soft, desperate rhythm. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because the pact is reforming, and it's coming for the one woman whose light can complete the constellation.
Me? I write stories. I'm not a keeper or a warrior.
You're something more dangerous. You give words to light. You make people believe in falling stars. The pact feeds on isolation. You're its opposite. Serena looked at her friends. Mira's eyes were sharp with warning. Kalla's were alight with curiosity. Biana's were filled with the promise of violence.
And if I refuse?
Then Eldoria forgets what it feels like to fall towards someone. Not with a bang, with a slow, beautiful fade into darkness. Orion turned to leave, his cloak brushing the floor like stardust settling. The pact awakens at moonrise, 3 nights from now. If you're brave enough to hear the truth, meet me at the old observatory.
Wait. Why me? Why now?
Orion paused. When he looked back, his eyes held something that looked almost like hope. Because I've been watching you for 3 years. And in all that time, you've never once written a story about giving up on a star that was still falling. The door closed behind him. The candles relaxed. The tavern's warmth returned.
Well, Kanye. That was either the beginning of a romance or the prologue to a funeral.
Can't it be both?
I don't trust him.
Neither do I. That's the problem.
Serena touched the crystal shard. It was cold, alive. Something whispered at the edge of her hearing. A name she didn't recognize, spoken with desperate longing.
If you've ever felt that love can change your destiny, subscribe, because this story is for you.
The morning after, Serena sat alone in her scriptorium, the crystal shard pulsing on her desk. She hadn't slept.
I kept hearing his voice. You write about love you've never touched. He wasn't wrong.
A knock at her door. 3 slow beats. Then silence. You're still awake.
You're still outside my door at dawn. That's either romantic or deeply concerning.
Can it be both?
That's what my friends would say.
Serena opened the door. Orion stood in the gray light, looking as exhausted as she felt. I need to show you something. Before the others wake. Before I lose my nerve.
And if I say no?
Then I'll stand here until you say yes. I've waited 1,000 years. A few more minutes won't matter.
1,000 years?
The pact keeps its keepers falling, whether we want it or not. He took her to the old observatory, a forgotten place where the first keepers once charted stars that had already died. This is where the pact was sealed, where we promised to fall together so no one would have to fall alone.
What went wrong?
We meant it. That was the problem. Orion knelt beside a broken telescope. The brass was cold, tarnished, and strangely warm underneath. The pact wasn't a curse. It was a promise. We swore to carry the darkness so the stars could keep burning.
That sounds beautiful.
It was, until we realized falling is lonely, even when you're falling together.
What happened?
The keepers grew tired, grew jealous of the stars that never fell.
Could they leave?
No, don't. That's why they called it the Starlight Pact. Once you fall forever.
And if forever won't end?
Then you wait, and watch everyone you love burn out. Back at the Moon Ember, Mira was pacing.
She went with him again, alone, before breakfast.
Her emotional signature is calm. That's either very good or very bad.
Or she's finally feeling something real. Biana stared into her wine glass, watching the liquid swirl. I've spent my whole life afraid my storm would destroy anyone I loved. Maybe Serena's tired of being afraid too.
There's a difference between courage and stupidity.
Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, they look exactly the same.
The shard is changing her.
Kalla held a small vial of amber liquid up to the light.
I took a sample from the crystal shard last night. The magical signature is Indwa. Hungry. Not malicious. Just starving.
Starving for what?
Witness. Real witness. The kind that watches you fall and doesn't look away.
Serena returned as the sun reached its peak. Her skin shimmered faintly, not with magic, with captured light.
Serena, you're glowing.
The pact recognizes me. Orion says it's because I write about falling without demanding to be caught.
Is that safe?
I don't know, but I have 2 days to figure it out.
Serena sat at the center of the table, her friends around her like a living shield.
The pact awakens at moonrise in 2 nights. We have until then to understand what the keepers did wrong.
And what exactly did they do wrong?
They tried to fall alone. They thought love meant burning bright until nothing was left.
So we have to do the opposite? Fall together?
We have to show the pact that falling doesn't mean disappearing. It means being witnessed.
That's not a plan. That's just gravity.
Unfortunately, she's right.
Orion waited by the old observatory as the sun began to set. Serena found him there.
You knew the pact would recognize me,
I suspected.
and you didn't warn me.
Would you have believed me?
No. Where?
Then I made the right choice. Serena sat beside him. Their shoulders almost touched. The broken telescope pulsed, not with hunger, but with attention.
Tell me about the first keeper, the one who made the pact.
Her name was Vesper. She was falling, and she was desperate to take someone with her.
What did she trade?
Her light, her future, her ability to ever stop falling.
That doesn't sound like a pact. That sounds like a funeral.
It was, but at the time, it felt like immortality. Serena reached out. Her fingers brushed his. The telescope's shadow softened.
You've been carrying her guilt for 1,000 years.
Someone has to.
No. Ilaiden. Someone has to forgive her. And you're the only one left.
Orion turned to look at her. The grief in his eyes cracked. Just slightly. What if I can't?
Then the pact awakens tomorrow, and we all fall alone.
Serena stood. She offered him her hand.
Come back to the tavern. Eat something. Lay. Let my friends annoy you with questions.
Why?
Because you're not a keeper anymore. You're just a man who's been falling alone for 1,000 years.
That night, the 4 women and the last keeper sat together in the Moon and Ember. It was awkward. It was strange. It was a beginning.
So, 1,000 years. Any interesting stories?
Mostly pain.
I meant romantic ones.
Mostly pain there too.
The stellar chemistry in this room is... shifting. The pact is curious.
Let it be curious. It's not touching my friends. Biana's storm crackled softly. Not a threat, a witness.
Tomorrow, we face a pact that has consumed everyone who ever tried to fall alone. And we're going to show it something it's never seen.
Which is...
Falling that doesn't need to be caught. Falling that just wants to be seen.
The fire crackled. The candles burned low. Orion watched Serena as she spoke. And for the first time in centuries, he didn't feel like a falling star.
If this story touched something inside you, stay with us, subscribe, and let the next chapter find you.
Moonrise. The final night. The old observatory waited beyond Eldoria, its broken telescope trembling with anticipation.
I've never been more afraid. Not of falling. Oh, falling alone.
Then, don't fall alone. Simple legal strategy.
Mira adjusted her crimson robes, her armor against the endless night.
The original keepers fell in isolation. That was their mistake.
So we fall together?
We witness each other. Biana's storm crackled softly. Not a threat, a constellation waiting for light. I've spent my whole life afraid my power would burn anyone who watched me fall. Tomorrow I stop being afraid of being seen.
That's not a plan. That's a sentiment.
Sometimes sentiments are enough. Orion stood apart from the group, his back to the broken telescope. The brass reflected not the moon, but a woman's face. Beautiful, terrified, ancient. Vesper, dart calm. I know you can hear me. Echoing. You brought them here. After everything I did to protect you. You didn't protect me. You pushed me. I loved you. Love doesn't push. Love catches. Serena walked to the edge of the telescope. Her skin shimmered, not with magic, with starlight.
You've been watching me for weeks, learning me.
You write about love, you're too afraid to live. You understand falling.
I understand loneliness too.
Then you know why I made the pact. Why I needed to take someone with me.
I know. But you were wrong about one thing.
What?
Falling isn't something you force on someone. It's something you share. Every day. Every choice.
The telescope pulsed. Vesper's voice softened. Confused. Curious. Hungry.
Whispering to Kalla. What is she doing?
Whispering back. She's rewriting the pact. In real time.
Hand on sword. If that thing touches her.
It won't. It can't. It's never met someone who isn't afraid of falling.
You've only ever known people who wanted to use the pact? For immortality. For legacy. For control. I don't want any of that.
Then, what do you want?
To stand here. With you. And not make any promises I can't keep.
Serena knelt at the telescope's edge. The cold brass rose to meet her hands. Cold. Trembling. Serena, don't. It will bind you.
No. Nay. It won't.
She looked at Orion, at the man who had carried guilt for 1,000 years.
It's never met someone who chose to fall beside it without being pushed.
The brass touched her fingers. Vesper's voice in the telescope softened, just slightly. Why? Why would you fall beside me without a promise?
Because I know what it's like to want to be caught. To be afraid that if people really saw you fall, they'd walk away. I've written 100 stories about that fear. I've never lived past it. Until now.
Mira stepped forward. Then, Kalla. Then Biana. They formed a line behind Serena, hands linked.
By every law that honors shared falling over solitary burning, I stand with her.
By every formula that failed to capture what we witnessed together, I stand with her.
By every storm I've weathered, and every fall I've survived, I stand with her. By every star I've watched die, and every pact I've kept, I stand with her. The telescope stilled. Vesper's voice began to change, not into hunger, but into something that looked like catching. No one has ever
what?
Offered to fall beside me, without wanting to push. The cold brass began to warm. Vesper's presence didn't vanish, it transformed, became softer, younger, less hungry.
You're not a monster. You're a woman who was never taught how to fall without taking someone with you.
I don't know how.
Then we'll teach you.
The telescope pulsed one final time. When it stilled, Vesper's voice was gone. In its place was a single silver tear, warm to the touch, glowing softly.
What is this?
A piece of her. The part that wanted to be caught, not pushed. Serena lifted the tear from the telescope. It rested in her palm like a falling star, finally at rest.
She's not gone.
No, thus. She's finally stopped falling. Dawn broke over Eldoria. The old observatory was just brass now. Cold, gray, ordinary.
Is it over?
It's beginning.
Serena looked at the silver tear in her hand. The pact's gift. The pact's trust.
We have a lot of work to do. Teaching her. Showing her what falling actually looks like when you're not alone.
The stellar chemistry of that process will be fascinating.
The protection of it will be exhausting.
The legal framework will be a nightmare.
But we'll do it together.
Orion stood apart watching them. Serena walked to him and placed the silver tear in his hands.
You've been running from this for 1,000 years. It's time to stop.
What if I'm not strong enough?
You don't have to be. That's what we're for.
Orion looked at the tear. Then at Serena. Then at the women who had followed her to the edge of the observatory. I don't deserve this.
No one deserves love. That's what makes it love.
The first rays of sunlight touched the broken telescope. The brass sparkled, alive, ordinary, beautiful.
The pact isn't our enemy. It's a woman who was never taught how to fall beside. And now she has 4 friends and a keeper who finally knows how to catch.
Weeks passed. The tear lived in Serena's scriptorium, glowing softly in the moonlight. Mira drafted the first Rights of Celestial Entities Act, arguing that even fallen stars deserve dignity. Kalla developed a serum that helped Vesper communicate, not in light, but in dreams. Colors, dot, textures. Biana taught her about storms, about winds that catch, not push. And Serena wrote, not forbidden tales hidden from the guilds, but true stories. Honest ones. About a woman who learned to fall beside instead of pushing others down. One night, Serena sat alone by the old telescope. The brass was calm. The tear around her neck pulsed softly. You're thinking about endings again?
I'm a writer. I'm always thinking about endings.
This isn't an ending.
I know.
He sat beside her. Their shoulders touched. The telescope reflected not their faces, but a woman smiling. Ancient, peaceful, finally caught.
She's happy.
Vesper?
She's finally happy.
So am I. Serena leaned her head against his shoulder. The moon, the same moon that had witnessed the pact's making, watched over them.
I used to think love was something you fell into. A gravity you couldn't escape. A pact you signed in Starlight. Now I think love is something you choose. Every day. Especially when you're falling.
The keepers tried to fall alone, to eliminate the need for witnesses.
And that's why they failed.
The telescope pulsed, not with hunger, but with contentment.
The most forbidden tale isn't about passion or power. It's about witnessing, about choosing to watch someone fall, really watch them, and not looking away. That's what I've learned. That's what I'll keep writing. Until every falling star knows it can ask to be caught instead of pushing others down.
The tear around Serena's neck pulsed, once, twice, then settled into a steady, peaceful glow.
If this story touched something inside you, stay with us, subscribe, and let the next chapter find you. Because this isn't the end. It's just the first page of everything that comes next.
The moon set, the sun rose, and Eldoria, the city of spires and secrets, kept watching.
One story, one fall, one catch at a time.
The city holds its breath again after the chaos of the rain. This quiet feels like coming home, a feeling I have never known. If this is our forever vow, I'll take the risk and start right now. If this story touched something inside you, stay with us, subscribe, and let the next chapter find you.